What was the most outrageous request you ever received sexually? Story 1. A dude asked me to peg him. Not really an outrageous request, I could be up for that. Thing was, we had just met, chatting at a grocery store about the weather or whatever. After I declined, he lamented never being able to find a woman who was interested. All I could think was, if he basically opens every conversation with a woman with, "You wanna peg me?" I'd be amazed if he finds someone who says yes. Story 2. I had a guy I met randomly asked if he could see my dick. When I told him no, he pulled out $100 out of his wallet and was like, "Please, I just want to see it, I won't touch it or anything." I was like 20 and was weirded out by the dude, so got away ASAP. Now that I'm older, I probably would just flash my dick and take the money. Who cares? Story 3. I have a missing lower leg. A chick wanted to see if my stump would fit in her. My leg is amputated just below the knee. No. Story 4. Got hit on by a private shuttle driver in Vegas. Things were getting very spicy in our discussion when she said she wanted to watch me blow her boyfriend. I was considering whether or not I was getting rolled or if I wanted to do it when she added, "with you in a diaper," and that's where the line was. Story 5. My blind date. We talked for hours over the phone and then made plans to meet each other. She gave me her home address and gave me instructions what to do upon arrival. After ringing the doorbell, she would unlock the door. I was to wait 1 minute. She wanted me to then come inside her home and close and lock the front door. Then proceed to her bedroom. Then I was to remove all my clothes, get into her bed, and turn off the light. She would be waiting in the closet but watching through the blinds of the closet door when she would join me in bed. After hearing all of this, I told her maybe it would be better to meet at a restaurant or coffee shop first. She told me no, that she wanted me at her place tonight, so I declined her offer. If she's reading this, please don't take it personally. Story 6. My ex's brother had a thing for me and I would tell my ex everything he would say to me, and then one night after all of us went rollerblading, he asked me, "Could you send a foot pic?" Bruh, I'm dating your brother. My ex was furious and the brother was like, why she gotta tell you everything? He would constantly flirt and try to get me to cheat, but you know what the funny part is? The minute he got a girlfriend, he forbade my ex to ever meet her because he claims you'll try and do stuff with her. So in other words, it's okay for me to try and do stuff with your girlfriend, but you can't do it with mine. Story 7. An ex wanted to other guys while she was 4 hours away at college, but didn't want me to touch another woman. Story 8. She wanted to shave me from the neck down, dress me like a woman, take me out dancing with her and her friend, then they would take turns on me and each other with strap-ons. This was from a church kindergarten teacher who had previously stated reverse cowgirl was too kinky for her. Story 9. When I was a stripper, I got offered $100 to kick a guy in the nuts. Naturally, I took the offer and kicked him. After he regained his strength, he bolted out the door past the bouncers. A few months after that, I started a new class in college, and guess who's my professor? Nut kick guy. Story 10. I matched with someone. He asked me if I have slim feet, which I do. I thought he's into feet or something. Turns out he wants me to put my whole feet into his ass. Story 11. Early on, my ex one night demanded that we do it in a field across from the farmhouse she lived/worked at. The dude who owned it was a creepy asshole, and she thought it was a pretty strong power move, lol. There might have been something else going on because she finished fast. Story 12. Not so much a request, but a girl, 19, I was hooking up with, I was 22 at the time, started calling me daddy. It had never been a problem for me, but was never something I found particularly sexy or a turn on in any way. What was the problem was when, without warning, she started age play and started pretending she was a minor, like 13 years old, and I have never lost a boner so fast in my life. I hopped off and told her I really had to pee, went into the bathroom and texted my buddy, SOS, call me in 2 minutes pretending to be my dad and be pissed at me. Yeah, to this day she is the only person I've ever ghosted. Sometimes I feel bad about it, but not usually. It also now creeps me out and is a huge turnoff if someone calls me daddy. My wife knows this story and finds it hilarious, so she calls me daddy randomly just to get a laugh. Story 13. She wanted me to basically force her. She started putting my hands down her pants and she stops me. So I stop because I think she's not ready for that. And she gets frustrated and asked why I stopped. Because I'm not into rape. Not gonna lie though, sex with her was fun once I got to know her better. Story 14. I can't fully even describe what she wanted me to do here, but let's just say that she was African American and had a different sort of master-slave fetish than I was comfortable with. Worst part was she was super loud about it too, and her kids and neighbors could definitely hear. Story 15. A husband wanted me to have sex with his wife. That's not the outrageous part. I'm a swinger, so it's pretty common. What was outrageous was that he expected me to travel 3 hours to his town, pay all expenses for a hotel, wait for their arrival, and answer the door naked like some kind of toy to present to his wife. Story 16. I met someone in my country's equivalent of Tinder. We had really good conversations and it seemed like it it could actually be serious. I introduced her to my father, and she introduced me to her family. We had normal sex once or twice by the time she requested me to do something. Requesting is not the right word to describe it, but I will try to paint a picture of what happened. She was sitting on top of me. We both just had underwear on. She invited me to touch her body, but as soon as I came near her breasts or crotch, she would push my hands away but immediately put them on her belly again when I would keep them away from her for too long. I was absolutely confused, to say the least. This cycle of paradoxical mixed signal shitfest went on for what felt like an eternity, but I managed to keep my composure. Eventually, she got mad and just told me her plans. She wanted me to get sexually frustrated to the point where I would lose control and rape her because that would get her going. I tried to understand that as much as I could, and I tried to be more dominant, but in the end, I was not able to go as far as she wanted me to go. I would probably have immediately ended the relationship if she and her family would not have otherwise been absolutely lovely people. She broke up with me because I could not fully satisfy her. Story 17. She said there was a man clit or something in my ass she wanted to touch. I was less than mature about it, and it literally led to a breakup. Something along the lines of, "You f*** my ass and I can't even stick a finger in yours" was said. I defended myself at the time by claiming I was wholly comfortable in my heterosexuality. Turns out, I found the man clit a few years later on my own and made a terrible mistake. It's literally amazing. The one that got away. Story 18. Was dating a guy for like 2 months and he surprised me with a thoughtful trip to meet his parents over 3 hours away for Easter. I didn't feel comfortable, but he pressured me to go. He ended up pulling out a strap-on and asking me to peg him in his childhood bedroom when his parents are down the hall and his brother's room was connected to ours by a bathroom. Story 19. I once dated a guy that openly told me he was into fart porn. Not really my thing, but he asked me if I could do that whilst we were having sex. I said no, and then for a few weeks after, he kept trying to sniff my butt during sex, thinking I wouldn't notice. Story 20. One woman asked me to use my Glock 19 as a sex toy. I tried compromising by saying I could use snap caps. Then there's no danger involved and it wouldn't be fun. Turns out, there's a 5th firearm safety rule. Story 21. Years ago, I was with a girl who wanted me to hit her in the face during sex, so I gave her a light tap across the face. Then she called me a bitch and told me to hit harder, so I smacked her a little bit harder. She then yelled at me and told me to make her bleed and quit being a pussy. I smacked her one last time, kind of hard, and immediately felt bad about it. She then proceeded to smack the shit out of me and tell me that's the way you're supposed to do it. Story 22. I had an ex who claimed that he had a very high sex drive and needed sex every day. He expected a BJ every morning as soon as he woke. He never washed himself, just woke up his current partner. I didn't really believe him until I spent the night for the first time and was woken up with a poke in my back and a demand for service. I broke up with him before noon. Story 23. I was 19 and my girlfriend at the time is a sexual freak. Sex every day, multiple times, and I honestly could not keep up. One day, she asked me if I would be open to a threesome with her best friend. She led me to believe it was her childhood friend and a current roommate who we always hung out with. She was hot and I had a crush on her. Naturally, I said yes. I rushed to her apartment after a 12-hour shift. I'm in the military and was living a base dorm at the time, which they did not have access to, on the day of the threesome, and I walked in on her blowing this Idris Elba-looking dude. He was built like a Greek god and his dong is at least a good 4 inches bigger than mine. She said, "Come here, babe. Glad you could join us." He said, "What's up, brother?" extended his hand out and wanted me to bump fist. My self-confidence was shattered and I walked out. Never talked to her again after that. Story 24. Outrageous sexual request? Some random guy on Instagram messaged me to request that I come over, practice my punch and kick combos, I'm a Muay Thai instructor, on his balls, then wrestle him, then let him play with my feet. He was willing to pay $200. I'm a straight man. I declined. Weirdest I did? Tell me more about Chinese history. I went on a date with a girl whose family was from Hong Kong, but she grew up here in Canada. I took a number of classes on Chinese history at university, and I had always been a fan of it, so we started talking about it on the date, or rather, I started talking and she seemed interested. But I didn't realize how interested until we were in bed later. We were having fun, but she was like, "I don't know if I'm going to get there tonight," which is fine. A significant number of women struggle to orgasm first time with a new partner. And then we're in missionary and I'm going, and she breathlessly goes, "Tell me more about Chinese history." And I go, "What?" And she goes, "Any of it, just talk about it." And so I gave her a lecture on the Taiping Rebellion while f***ing her in missionary, and that got her there. For myself, I enjoyed giving the lecture, but not in a sexual way. To this day, I say she is the only actual sapiosexual I've ever met. Story 25. An ex-con who had just gotten out of prison was talking to me while I gave her a seat at the table at a restaurant I was working at the time. She had brought the whole getting out of prison that day on a whim, and she proceeded to ask me a couple of questions I won't forget after first complimenting my teeth out of nowhere. She asked me if I was single. I'm not. She asked me if I I was into eating ass. She specified her butthole. I'm not. And she asked me when I got off. I said not for several hours. She then gave me a hotel number and location and said if I wanted to have a scary good time, to hit her up. That interaction at the restaurant made me question a lot about people. Personally, I'm glad I didn't go for it. She didn't seem like she would have hurt me or anything, but I love my now fiancé too much to give that up for a fling. Story 26. Had an ex who really fantasized about getting eaten out in a public bathroom, and really got off quickly to doing so the first time. She didn't want to do that every time we were somewhere, but the grocery store that I grew up going to, and my mom knows half the employees, was the one that she picked, maybe the third or fourth time of doing this. She was extremely loud that time, and it was right next to the store office. Needless to say, she finished and we had the manager, a close friend's dad, outside the bathroom waiting for us. That was about 6 years ago, and now she's in prison. She got her education degree and got caught doing things with one of her students, so may have dodged a bullet there. Story 27. I was an escort for a few years, 2017, 2021 to be exact. One client in particular whom I have saved in my phone as Sick Dick was one of my top priority clients. I would meet him whenever, wherever he wanted. If I had any prior engagements, they were canceled. Why? Well, he never paid me the amount we agreed upon. In fact, he paid me 2 times my actual rate the first time we met. With every meeting, not only did the pay go up, so did the amount of the odd requests. Keep in mind this was your ordinary Caucasian man who retired early, had a successful business, married with grown kids, one older than me, one younger, both attending out-of-state universities at the time. I won't go into the details about the things he asked for because I don't like thinking about it, to be honest. I don't know if he's trying to hurt himself and those around him, or if he just likes the thrill or what, but it's crazy dangerous and yeah, no. Anyway, one day I explained to him how unhappy I was in life, not having a family, struggling to have a stable job, home, or even a place to sleep at times, and that I needed to start somewhere new. So he told me the arrangements for our last meeting. He'd get a hotel that Friday and only be available from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that the hotel was mine for the remainder of the time, along with $1,000. Well, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., he just wanted to live the gay life he never got to live. Some of the things I remember doing were underwear shop, brunch, watch RuPaul's Drag Race, went to a couple gay bars, went cruising, ended up at a bathhouse, bought whatever drugs I could find us for $300, got a group thing going back at the hotel, and had crazy, off-this-fucking-planet fun. Before leaving, way past 6 a.m., he paid me $3,400 to put towards my new life and told me he had booked the room for the entire weekend so that I can have a comfortable place to sleep. That was by far the best time I ever had with a client. When it should be all about pleasing him and making him happy, he somehow made it about me. A little sick in the head at times, but still a great fucking guy. Story 28. She wanted to see me pleasure myself looking at pictures of her friends. It was a bit too awkward for me. We were in a relationship, so I felt it would end up biting me in the ass if I actually did it to her friends. It was also one of the few times the two of us were completely alone, so I thought, let's just do stuff together? And somehow she got mad at my request. Story 29. She wanted me to join her in an invite-only BDSM fetish dungeon party where we could try many things. I learned a lot about myself that night, and her proclivities too. It's one of the few times I have not liked having a try everything once policy. Story 30. In college once, in the absolute peak of craziness, had a girl say, I want you to either come in me or pull it out and shoot it all over me. I remember stopping, nearly freezing, looking her in the eye and saying, what the f*** else would I do? Run over to your neighbor's house, knock on her door, and shoot it on her? She got mad. I realized I had a career in analytics. Story 31. A guy wanted to pee on me. That was his request out of the gate. No hi, how are you? Just that he wanted to pee on me. 18-year-old gay me was petrified. 26-year-old gay me wants to be taken to dinner first. Story 32. Didn't understand until we broke up, but I dated a girl who wanted to be pinned to the sink and f***ed. Anytime she started hand washing the dishes, that was my cue. Found out from her after we broke up that her dad used to rape her when she was a teen, and that was how he did it the first time. I didn't have sex for 3 years after that. I still feel gross sometimes, and it was almost 20 years ago. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like it, plus comment down below your favorite story and a story of your own.